almost put you in the wall, I'm sorry.
Not open, mine are.
Call the room to order for the Committee of the Whole for the discussion of the 2010-2011 budget. Again, today's Monday, March 15, 2010. And I'd ask Clerk Spencer to call the roll, please.
Gudenkauf.
Here.
Hezet.
Hezet.
No. Shea. Here. Leader.
Here.
Rose. Absent. Graham.
Here.
Hipskin.
Here.
York.
Here.
Nybo.
Here.
Healy. Absent. Morley.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Mulliner.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
12 present, 2 absent.
12 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. And I'll turn it over to City Manager Borcher. We're going to be discussing, I believe, library and legal. And hopefully our goal is to get out of here closer to 10:15. If we ideally hope we try and wrap it up by then, so we're not, walking around with toothpicks all up our eyelids here. City Manager Borcher, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just pleased to introduce the President of the Library Board, Rose Walsh, who is here with the Director, Marilyn Boria, who will provide an overview of the library operations.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to meet with you this evening to review the library's budget. I am Rose Walsh, President of the Library Board of Trustees. I would like to begin by introducing the other trustees who are here this evening, Susan Sadowski and Linda Wheaton. Library Director Marilyn Boria also is here. Before we answer any of your questions, I would like to briefly highlight some of the ways that the library has enriched the life in Elmhurst this past year. As I am sure you already know, the library has been a very busy place. In the first 10 months of the fiscal year, staff has welcomed an average of 45,000 people every month, 5% more than last year. By April 30th, these visitors will have checked out more than 1.5 million items to help them with school, personal, and business needs. This represents an 8% increase and is 6 times the national average for per capita circulation in public libraries. In the past 10 months, the library has educated and entertained thousands of children and adults with 747 programs. During that same period, our meeting rooms have been used 285 times by many of the community groups that contribute so much to the quality of life in Elmhurst. One of our greatest successes is service to our youngest customers. During the day, all of the story times for preschoolers are filled to capacity with children and parents. Together, they learn the skills that prepare the children for a lifetime of reading. After school, children from throughout the community use the library as a homework center. Last summer, more than 5,000 children maintained or improved their reading skills through participation in our summer reading clubs. We are particularly grateful to the Friends of the Library and many of the businesses in town for their support of this valuable program. One of our major expenditures this past year was to upgrade our technology infrastructure so that we can continue to meet the public's ever-increasing demands for high-quality computing services. To accomplish this, we redesigned our internal network and replaced all of the routers and switches in the server room. In addition, we increased the speed of our internet service by moving from multiple T1 lines to fiber. Our computers have been busier than ever with job seekers and adults learning new skills. To assist Elmhurst residents in these difficult economic times, we offer access to free one-on-one career counseling and a wide variety of programs targeted at job seekers. This is in addition to our rich collection of business and career resources. On Wednesday, February 10th, libraries across Illinois participated in Snapshot, One Day in the Life of Your Library, by collecting statistics, comments, and photographs from events in a typical library day. We have given each of you a one-page sheet highlighting some of the great pictures and wonderful comments from that day. I want to conclude tonight by talking about Elmhurst Reads, a program which is already underway. As you may know, Elmhurst Reads unites the community by discussing a book in broader context, and this year's program features the nonfiction title Shadow Divers by Robert Kurson. Shadow Divers is the riveting account of the intrepid divers who risked their lives to explore and identify a German U-boat sunk off the coast of New Jersey. After a series of programs over the past 6 weeks, Mr. Curson will visit Elmhurst this Thursday to discuss his book with residents. To ensure that there is enough space for all who wish to attend, the program will be held at the Elmhurst Christian Reformed Church. Please join us for this exciting event. Thank you for helping us to make the library such a successful resource for the community. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank the mayor and the city council, as well as the city manager and the rest of the city staff who help us on a daily basis. We could not do this without your support. Before you tonight, you have our budget, which includes not only our operating expenses, but also the funds needed for repayment of our building bonds. We welcome your comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by anybody?
For your general oversight and information, technically, the library board approves the expenditures and provides oversight over the operations of the library. The city council has got the responsibility to provide a tax levy which funds the library and the library board's expenditures. So just for your oversight.
Very good.
The expenditures and revenue are on the pages generally 183 through 205.
Any questions or discussion? And while people are looking, Alderman Wagner?
Just a quick question. The number of full-time employees and part-time employees. I just don't know the numbers.
Full-time employees right now is 26. Next year, we are looking at adding a 27th in the kids' library sometime during the year, depending on how our finances work. And part-time is about 125, give or take. We have a lot of part-timers that come and go. But the vast majority of our staff is part-time.
Great. Thank you.
So it's 26 full-time, roughly 100 or so part-time?
125.
125 part-time? Very good. Alderman Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question that I haven't asked in the past, overtime for full-time employees. I understand on how overtime works for our various union groups. How does it also work for the library? Because I don't believe they are union.
We pay time and a half for Sunday hours. We're open 1 to 5 on Sunday for full and part-time people. Other than that, we pay under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Anyone that qualifies that works over 40 hours per week is overtime, because that's federal law.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Alderman York?
Yeah. Hi, Marilyn. I just had a quick question on the other services. Obviously, going from a 2,000, and we get these nice little exception reports when the city staff does our budgets. But can you comment, provide some color on the jump from 2,000 to 110,000 on the other services?
Yes, I can. We were informed, I should say, that the city called me a couple months ago and reminded me that when the new library was built actually when we were building the parking lot in 2002, there's a DuPage County law about water retention on your property, and we put big tubes under the parking lot, but it wasn't enough to detain all of the water for the rate of flow that you need into the sewers. So our penalty for not doing that was $108,000. So that is a one-time payoff that we are paying to the city this coming year for the 2003 water retention fee in lieu of. Thank you. So, and I think we didn't know about it before. I guess we did know about it, but I think I forgot it in the scheme of the building. But there is a city project now. The city didn't ask us for the money until they had a project to spend the money on. As I understand it, there is a project. So we have put it into our budget for May 1st. So we will be able to pay the city, but that is a one-time deal. Next year, it will go back to $2,000.
Thank you.
Anybody else, questions or discussion? Alderman Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of Public Works, thank you very much for that money.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, it's very important. It's part of the, for the levee for Salt
Oh, yeah.
Creek, and there's a tremendous project going on there and needs to be certified by FEMA. So Mike Hughes and his group are smiling in the back. Glad to get that money as well, so thank you very
We're
much.
happy to contribute.
Under contractual services.
And so we have a good team, we collaborate, we work together and get the job done. And your organization, by the way, is just second to none. My kids use that library regularly, and seniors use it, kids use it. If you want to know if our resources are being used, just walk through that library one day and just watch it. It's quite an establishment, so kudos to Marilyn for running the great ship over there, so. Alderman Gutenkopf.
Thank you. I just want to express my astonishment at the sheer volume of material that our library circulates, and I'm thrilled about it and amazed as well. I really appreciate the snapshot because it gives me at least a really clear picture of how busy the library is. I only see it in the evenings when I run in. I always expect it to be busy in the evenings, but to look at how much you're doing during the day is truly amazing, and I congratulate you.
From the city manager's perspective, it's a joy to work with all of the library folk, and Marilyn's leadership is second to none, and congratulations. She's the JC's 2010 Designated Service Award recipient, which she's trying to not let anybody know about, but she did that DSA award. Well deserved.
Kudos also to the board. That board is an unpaid board that works at the will of the council, and they're dedicated to our families and our seniors, and they do a great job. So it takes a team in all different areas to make it happen. So, any other discussion or questions on the library?
I'd ask Don Storino to move forward to the front of the room so we can, without too much of a gap, move on to the legal side.
Move on to legal.
Well, one more comment.
One more
for
comment real quick, and then I'll ask Mr. Storino to come up to the table. Alderman Hipskin?
I'm at the library all the time, morning, noon, and night. Actually, I see that your fines are over what you budgeted, and I think you can thank my family for that.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. But from all the different services, from the videos for the kids to the periodicals, everything. I mean, it's amazing. It is such a part of the town that we take for granted quite often. And you know, when I look at the entire park there with the museums and everything, I mean, it's fantastic. I think you run a great ship over there, and keep it going. So thank you.
Thank you. I would like to say, I'd like to thank the board also, but I would like to tell you that a library is a reflection of the community that it serves. So we have a community that reads, that uses a library, that believes in a communal resource like the library, and I think that's a wonderful reflection on the community itself. People support the library, they use it, so that's very gratifying to all the staff who work there.
It's an icon. It's you know, and the citizens voted for that overwhelmingly. So it's you just said it. The citizens supported it, and they support many of the organizations that we have, including especially the library. So, any other questions or discussion on library? If we don't, I'll move on to legal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you all.
And our chairman of the board over there. And all the directors that have come out and that serve as volunteers on behalf of our government. We appreciate all your hard work. So, thank you.
On the legal budget, it is
Yes.
the lengthy portion of page 167 and 168. A lot involved in those two pages, as we've expressed in years past. It is a estimate of the time that's going to be needed to respond to the city's need for legal help, which includes labor legal counsel for the next fiscal year. Mr. Storino's first year at helping prepare the budget. He has a contract, as you know, with the city for his professional services for the Elmhurst community. simple agreement. It's an hourly rate times the hours that are needed to do the work of the city. And questions, Mr. Storino's here.
If I could just clarify, line 3036, it may appear to be way out of whack. That line really represents 4 different line items that in previous times we had separated and now are together. And that would be, of course, 3036, 3045, 3061, and 3062. So when you're making a comparison, you really need to look at those 4 lines. So just in...
So that line 36 has got 36, 45, 61, and 62 according to...
Right, right,
Gotcha.
just because it's a different structure.
Right.
We formerly had retainer for city manager, retainer for assistant city manager.
City attorney you're referring to, right?
Right. You're on retainer. We just changed your contract.
Mike gets his stipends, poor
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah. Sorry, didn't even make that announcement right here. But anyway, yes, we had retainers for those, and that's not the structure now. So those services are combined on one line.
Okay, very good. Any questions or discussion on legal? Alderman Brown?
Yes, thank you. And I think you answered it with that statement, but I just wanted to ask Marilyn, before there was, I will just say, some confusion when it came to trying to understand how much was budgeted for legal fees, because there was a piece in this section of the budget, there was a piece in that section of the budget, and getting that summary seemed to be a little bit challenging. Are you making the statement here tonight that now it is this one line item and this is the cost for all our legal services, or
No.
there is the legal and other departments as well, correct?
There's legal in other departments because it is appropriate from time to time to charge those legal fees to the TIF funds, to the utility fund, so to charge the services where they actually belong in terms of what revenue should be paying for that service. So this legal area is more general fund. If it's TIF fund, we're going to allocate it to TIF.
Okay, so it would be...
We know that by how Mr. Storino allocates costs on his bills. He submits his bills so that we can pick out and charge appropriately.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that it was clear, especially for some of the new members of the council, that by looking at this line item, there's additional legal costs that the city of Elmhurst does incur over the year. It's not this sum of $601,000. There's additional in other areas of the budget.
Right.
Thank you.
That is correct.
Alderman Gutenkopf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Still sort of on this legal fees and additional counsel line. It's still $148,000 higher, even if you subtract out all the other things that are being combined in there. Could you talk about that a little bit? I mean, we're talking, it's gone up from 200 to 485,000, but if you incorporate, which is, you know, a couple $100,000, but if you add in or subtract out, if you will, the other lines that are being combined, it doesn't account for the total difference.
Let's see that.
First of all, let me say that the past 10 months that we have been had the opportunity to provide legal counsel to the city have been a great opportunity for Storino, Rommel, and Durkin. We very much value it, and it's been, for me professionally, a great opportunity, and for my firm also. And for that, I thank all of you for giving us that opportunity. Having said that, this past 10 months have been, interesting for us. I think I'm correct if I say this, and Marilyn will correct me if I'm wrong, is that number probably includes, Alderman Gutenkopf, a series of law firms. I mean, is that all me, or is that me plus other legal firms that have provided, including Ted Clark, and so I kind of can't speak to the total amount of it, because I think it includes, your entire budget for legal, which would compose more than just me. Even though, and I think you've done the math right, because because I've done the same thing. So I guess what I'm saying is that I can tell you that we carefully pay attention to the hours we bill. We don't have a retainer. I think that's better for the city of Elmhurst. We bill you only for the hours that we expend. We bill it at a rate of $175 an hour. I think it's a very competitive rate. I think you'll see more benefits, and let me say this: our attempt is to provide legal services in the most efficient, cost-saving method possible. And I think over the course of the next year, there'll be some more of those efficiencies, because it would be fair to say that during the course of the last 10 months, we do things a little bit different than maybe other legal counsel would do it. And so that there was a curve for all of us to accomplish in trying to provide those kind of legal services, both efficient and cost-saving. I don't know if that's a good answer, but it's about as good as I can tell you, because I only know kind of what Storino, Romello, and Durkin would do. I can't speak to Seyfarth or Seyfarth Shaw or others who have provided services.
Alderman Gutenkopf,
Yes,
follow-up?
well, perhaps the city manager then could address why we've combined these two lines together, but yet the proposed budget amount for this upcoming fiscal year is still substantially higher than just combining the lines from last year. Are we anticipating some additional hours, or perhaps we've realized something about the amount of time the city legal services require that you're looking to budget that much more for it?
I will say this: I know we're entering collective bargaining, and I've talked to Marilyn about that. There's no question but that there's going to be all the contracts are up, or we are at least going to address every single contract during the next few months.
Isn't that covered in the labor council line?
It is.
Okay, but we're still talking about the legal fees and additional council line. So there's $70,000 in the labor council line that should cover the contract negotiation. So I'm still a little fuzzy on why this is going up quite so much. I mean, I understand that we're combining the lines, but the math isn't working for me. Am I doing something wrong?
I don't think you are. It's we've said it in the past. There are some carry forwards of consistency, but in the area of legal, each year has to respond to what has to be dealt with in that year as it relates to the need to respond, or in some cases the city council's policy of not responding and avoiding litigation. But if there's litigation, it is what it is on hours, and experience has been that these are the hours that we're experiencing going forward. It's not getting easier, it's getting more complicated, and Marilyn had something she wanted to add.
It's really not much. I don't think it'll answer your question, other than of all the lines that I work on in this budget, legal has always been, for the 20 years I've been here, the hardest to predict and to budget. Because as much as, I put this number together, I looked at history. I've looked at what we have done in the year that we're in, where we think we're going to end up, and try and project that forward with a new group of attorneys. But it is the hardest line. We very well could come in 100,000 under, we could come in 100,000 over, depending on what's going to be going on out there, how many contracts we're going to be working on, how many people are going to be suing us. The variables are many, and we have virtually control over none of them. So it's probably, it's a pretty big guess. Hopefully it's an educated guess. It's higher just because that's what the way the experience has been going the last couple of years.
Alderman Pezza.
Thanks. Bear with me while I try to figure out how to ask what I'm thinking or wondering. The 601 we're saying is a total, or is that a total with other items elsewhere that may be added to that total?
There would be other attorney's fees in other funds of the city.
Okay. So then I guess, are we comparing apples to apples when we look at this and take that into consideration? And then we look at, let's say, the 80809 number. Did the same thing apply?
Yes.
So there was other items that were added to that?
No, what you're seeing here, this is apples to apples.
Okay.
That philosophy in terms of how we account for attorney's fees and where we charge them has not changed. So we are very consistent on how we account for that. So it doesn't matter what the attorney's name is, the accounting is going to be the same. So you have an apples to apples here.
Okay. I guess, because I recall hearing in the past, I don't know if it's correct, numbers up to like 800,000, 900,000 total for years past. Could that be correct?
Oh, yes, that very well could be correct. And those dollars would be most likely in the TIF.
Okay.
When there were, again, various lawsuits, those dollars could be very high, not necessarily seen on these lines, but we go to the TIF funds and you will see those in the TIF funds.
So I guess what we're saying is, this is 601, but we could end up, hopefully not, at that way larger figure
It will,
at the end
and
of it all?
let's say if we spend exactly on budget, let's make that assumption, yes, attorney's fees will be greater than the number here because we are still need attorney services for the downtown TIF, for TIF 2, for TIF 3, and any other TIF that may come along.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be other attorney's fees. It just makes sense not to use general fund dollars to pay for those fees. You use TIF funds to pay for those fees.
Okay.
So we have those charged in different places.
Okay, thanks.
So these legal fees are strictly coming out of the general fund?
Correct.
And the TIF fund fees are not in this, because it's not coming out of the
that's right.
general fund? I got you.
Mhm.
Okay, very good
Those
question.
are even
though.
harder to budget,
Right.
the ones that go to the TIF funds.
One thing I would like to say is, coming in as a new mayor and bringing in a new attorney and looking at many other firms before I brought in City Attorney Strino with the will of the council, I don't think we could have made a finer move. He's a gentleman that's a pro at what he does. He represents many municipalities. He gave us the most competitive rate, even though I wasn't technically shopping price. I was shopping quality. But it did help to, especially given these times, to have a person of his caliber come in at the lowest rate that I was able to shop. And I looked at the Ansel Glinks and the Freemans and all the big names that I wanted to look at as pros to come in and help us bring this board together. And so I can't thank City Attorney Strino enough for doing a fine job and giving us, in my mind, a real fair shake. So I think in the end, too, because of the lack of outsourcing that his firm needs to do, especially in the area of labor, where we might see, a $275 or $375 an hour rate with an outside firm, Mr. Storino's firm is charging the same rate, $175 for labor. Also, if he does have to do something that he doesn't specialize in, let's say it's a personal injury situation or bodily injury situation, there's no markup or no retainer or no profit made on an outsource, which I think is important, especially given our time. So I think those are a lot of questions that a lot of us had. So I as the leader that I think brought this council together at the very beginning to make this call, I'm very proud of what we've accomplished and look forward to his future judgment in our endeavors here in Elmhurst. Any other questions or items that you might have concerns on? One thing is he's very thorough. So, and it'll keep us out of court for my, so, as much as possible. So, sometimes eventually we'll end up there, but as a businessman, I said that the more we can stay out of court, the better. So,
Keeps us on schedule, too,
and he
right?
keeps us on schedule. Oh, 10:15. Anybody else? Well, point well taken, Alderman Nybo. All right, if there's no other discussion, City Manager Borchert, want to wrap it up?
Yeah, you asked that we try to stop at 10:15. Could we do claims? I know Valerie,
Okay, 2 minutes. Be out at 10:17.
Attorney, before, on page
We'll tuck our kids
169, those two lines, that really all I can say, these are also estimates based on history of dollars that we were going to have to spend for liability claims. These could be slips and falls. These could be car accidents that city vehicles happen to be in, those types of things. But they're just based on history. We don't know what's going to happen there either.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Any other questions? Make sure we have no slip and falls, hopefully, for the next year. Everybody be cautious out there. Anybody else? Questions? All right.
thank you, Mayor and Council. Going forward, several of you have provided a heads up that you've got vacation plans, which happen to be District 205 spring break, which happens to be the 5th Monday. So on the positive side, we've got 5 Mondays in in March. But if many of you will not be here, that might be a Monday that, 5th Mondays, we frequently don't have committee meetings on. If we had a good group, we could use that 5th Monday to plow through more of the budget. But we'll play off of what else we hear from you all. We do have next Monday, would propose again, next Monday, the first half of the evening, it'd be committee activity, and then the second half, and maybe if we pushed a little bit beyond 10:15, we could get through most of the budget that's left to set you up to not have to meet the 5th Monday, and then we wrap up in April. We need to be done. The state statute provides that the budget officer ordinance for budgeting requires that the budget be approved before May 1st, before the beginning of the next fiscal year. So we need to, one way or the other, get through the budget to allow it to be passed by ordinance in April.
Very good. I know it's spring break right around the corner. Many of us are going to be gone that last Friday, possibly too, myself included. My wife deserves a vacation, and I'm taking her to Florida. So
we're still in good shape. We got next Monday. We'll see where we're at then, and then we'll identify what we've got left to set us up to be prepared to approve in April.
Very good. Very good. Alderman Wagner, and then
just a quick question. Well, more of a statement. Looks like we're saving Public Works for the next time. Correct?
Yes.
So I just wanted to personally apologize to Mr. Hughes, who just sat through about 4 hours of meeting, and his staff. So we'll definitely, it's an important one, though, and we want to make sure enough time is devoted to it.
That was nice of you, but he's used to it and he likes it.
Well.
Not what he told me.
Marilyn, we thank you for all your hard work. City Attorney Serino, you're doing a great job, and we're looking forward to 2010-11 with you. Thank you, City Manager Borchert. At this time, I ask for a motion to adjourn, please. Alderman Morley, Alderman Hipskin, all in favor? Aye. Adjourn.